People don't realize how much can be stripped from you in one moment. My ability to be a fully present father for the first year of my daughter's life, stripped. 26,000 unique customers. If I'm doing bad stuff, dude, you can't hide that. It's loud and obvious. This is exactly what happened, guys. My phone rings, it's my attorney. Now, I've had this attorney for 12 years, and he has trained me to not always expect bad things when he calls. I cut the call, I was doing something else. He calls right back again. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, that's not good. And as that's happening, my office assistant is walking in with a FedEx package in her hand. And I knew it. I did not see anything, I just knew it, man. There was a freaking, call it a spiritual moment. There was a voice inside me that said,
welcome to ClickFunnels Radio, the podcast that brings you the latest strategies, insights, and success stories from online marketers just like you who utilize funnels to grow their business. Our mission is simple: to help you unleash the true potential of your online business by harnessing the power of funnels. Join us every week as we bring you exclusive interviews and thought-provoking discussions that will revolutionize the way you approach online marketing. Here are your hosts, Chris Cameron and Ben Harris.
Welcome back to ClickFunnels Radio. My name is Chris Cameron, and joined with me, as always, is the co-hostess with the mostest. You're not a hostess, but you're the co-host with the most. This is Ben Harris. What's up, man?
What's up, man? You can call me a hostess. That's fine. It doesn't bother
I love
me.
it.
We're all
love
good.
it. Dude, I'm super stoked about our guest today. And it's been fun. Like, I've followed this guy for years, right? And he's one of the OGs of internet marketing. Like, this guy has known Russell since the potato guns. He was just telling us, like, he knows all the real stuff. But it's been fun in like the last year. Like, you know, we were able to go to WebinarCon. I was able to speak there, and like what this guy has created is amazing, but it took a turn. So I'm so excited to like get into this. So without further ado, I want to introduce Anik Singal. Anik, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you? Great to be here.
This is super exciting. Here's how I want to start this.
I chuckled, by the way, when you said it took a turn. That's such a delicate way of saying. I say shit hit the fan, like things exploded.
You know,
and
what's
nuclear
wild
bomb went
about
off.
Yeah, what's wild about that is you know, Ryan Holiday's got this book, right? That I read. It's called The Obstacle is the Way. And I feel like that's exactly what you're doing, like stoicism and all this. Like, so many entrepreneurs just go and they don't understand what you had to learn, maybe the hard way. And we can get into that, but maybe you can kind of tell us, you know, about your career and then kind of like what happened here.
Yeah, so pencil that in to come back to, because I'm building software right now. So you want to talk about learning stuff the hard way.
Oh, yeah.
We'll come back. We'll talk about that, which obviously you guys probably know a thing or two about.
You
So, geez, where did it all begin? Once upon a time when I was a kid, I was born.
Yeah.
No, man, I started in the marketing world when I was still in college, and I found a forum where people were talking about the idea of selling information products. So basically, growing up, I grew up, look, it's no secret, I'm brown, I'm Indian, okay? I don't know if you've ever been to a doctor's office or to a hospital. It's mostly full of us, like Indians become doctors. But we've been through generational things, right? So, and I can say that's not offensive, it's actually true. Indians don't even get offended by it. It was engineers, okay? So this is what's actually happening now, okay? This was generational in my people. It was engineers. So my parents, my dad, my uncles, they're all engineers. And then the next generation came up was doctors. Like, ragingly, everyone became doctors. Then lawyers has come up, and so there's a lot of Indians that are going lawyers now. And then business entrepreneurs and CEOs. If you actually look at the top head CEOs of a lot of the biggest companies, tech companies now, they're Indian. And so when I was growing up, I was looking around just seeing kind of like who's the most successful, driving the nicest cars, living the best lives. It was always doctors in our communities, right? They got the most respect. And so I was like, okay, ergo, I'll be a doctor. That was literally, you know, you don't want a doctor that chooses it for that reason. I mean, it's just not the right reasons to be a doctor. So I studied hard, worked hard, got into the best collegiate program. I mean, I was on a full scholarship. I was on a one-way track to going to med school in Harvard eventually. They were recruiting me freshman year of college. I mean, I was set. My parents were proud. The dream that was for me, for my dad, was in motion. Except freshman year of college, I'm like, I'm miserable. And I'll tell you something about myself. I don't really allow myself to be miserable. I'm not attached to things to the degree that I'll allow myself to be miserable. So, I took a couple of years and some support of some friends to really step up to the fact that I was actually really entrepreneurial inside. I was the kid with the lemonade stand, okay, in the neighborhood. I mean, it's a very cliche thing, but it's true. But here's the irony. I was a kid with the lemonade stand that hired younger kids to run the lemonade stand. And I took it one step further. And I remember that, right? So I'm sitting in college. I'm like, I like that. Like, I want to create my own thing. So I dropped out of this amazing full ride program I'm in. I switched universities. Now all of a sudden my parents have to pay 20, 30 grand a year for me to go to school. My parents were amazing, super supportive. And I get 2 weeks. I went to business school, study finance. 2 weeks into switching universities, switching everything, letting go. There's no going back to where I had come from. And I'm miserable there. I'm like, crap, I hate these classes too. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be like a bum in my parents' basement. Like, what the heck is going on with me? What's wrong with me? So I said, let's go start a business, right? And so I started digging around and I found thing after thing after thing, all the BS out there. And finally, a year and a half later, I found this world of information marketing, which made sense to me as a college student, spending a lot of money on education. And one thing led to another. I started doing affiliate marketing, and then people started hiring me to consult them. And then I started teaching that, and I started doing product launches. And it was somewhere early in this arena that I met Russell. And Russell and I think our first run-in, and if he's listening, he's going to chuckle at this. We tended to always want to launch similar things around the same time. So I've always felt like since the beginning, Russell and I would be like competitive, but always friends. So always supporting one another, but competitive. And I remember the first course. I remember this years ago, man. I was launching a course called the Affiliate Manager and Affiliate Fuel. Was that the course that Russell had? Do you remember that? Affiliate Inferno, Affiliate of Fuel, something like that. And he was launching it within 1 month of me. Both of us, same affiliate pool, same everything. And it was a course on how to build an affiliate database and build an affiliate team. And both of us were like, no, I'm not moving. And so those are the good old days, right? And we just, that's the world that I grew up in. That's when I met him and Frank Kern and all the gang. And we're talking, 17, 18 years ago at this point, 19 years ago. This is a long time ago. Grew the company from there and just started, building my audience. And then eventually I remember it was like, I wasn't doing paid traffic or anything. It was just affiliates. And so I published somebody because I had this huge audience, and I'm like, hey, if you come in, I'll split with you, but you bring the knowledge, I'll bring the audience. And that was kind of my introduction to the world of publishing. And it went great. And obviously when I graduated college, I went on to do my own thing. I made millions. I was traveling the world, speaking on stages, just living life. And one thing after the other, and I decided one day that I want to build a tech company. And that's why the company's name was Learn, is I actually wanted to build. I'm telling you, and I mean this, when I tell people this, they look at me like this. I'm like, guys, I was one of the original people to think about the world of edutech. I was one of the first people to start actually building an edutech platform. I just sucked at it. I sucked so bad at building technology that burned millions of dollars over a long time. I tried it 4 times. I tried it so long that by the time I quit doing it, edutech was like a free app on WordPress at that point. Like, it's just not sexy anymore. But I went to India. I bought out a company there. I used to go to India 7 times a year. For anyone who wants to know, that's a 24-hour one-way trip. I used to live there for a month. I had a house there. That's where I met my now wife. She worked for me in the company. I bought a business. I bought a tech company, started building this, burned millions. So go figure. I'm shutting that operation down, and my now wife comes running into my office and says, have you seen this? Like, this is literally like a week left to go. She opens a laptop, shows me Udemy. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm clicking around it. And it's like they had a video camera inside my head. I mean, they had built exactly what I wanted to build. What Learn was supposed to be Udemy. Exactly. I mean, guys, 96% similar to this, okay? And they built it. They were done. 3 guys sitting in a garage in Turkey built it because they're technical. And so that was it. I spent millions, turned it down, turned it off, was almost near bankrupt. Came back. This is during the 2008, 9, 10, 11 era. Yeah. Russell and I have talked about it because we all in the industry really struggled during that time. And somehow I made it back. I went to the personal development space, made it back, grew again. and then really went into the internet marketing training again. And this time I was like, I'm going to build a platform, an edutech platform, but only for business and entrepreneurs. And so kind of turned over to that. I almost bought, this is crazy side note, I almost bought profit.com for like 300 grand. I'm so glad I didn't. But that was going to be like the platform, and couldn't build it again. Years and years. I've tried every route. And I'm telling you guys the development side of the story because before we had started the episode, I'd penciled in, I'm like, hey, let's talk about how life has like a really difficult way of teaching you stuff sometimes.
Sure.
So long, making it shorter, I just started growing in 2014, 2015 again, took off. And by 2017, 2018, we were starting to publish. 2018, we started publishing people again. 2020, the business just exploded, even before COVID happened. And it took me years and years to figure out how to staff this business. It's a very difficult industry. It's a small industry. We were already one of the top dogs from the information marketing world. How do I find people with enough experience?
It's
but I finally
one thing
did.
to go and be the marketer and understand what you want to push. But it's another then to say, okay, I'm going to be that marketer and I have the product. And then it's another one to be a business owner and an operator.
Oh, completely. You know, I hate to say this, but I was with my mastermind the last event, and I told them, I said, guys, I don't think most information marketers are actually entrepreneurs. It's a really painful thing to say, and it's one that people don't like hearing. And I'm not trying to sound accusational at all, but it's just, I think the word entrepreneur is thrown around a little bit loosey-goosey at this point, right? Like everyone's an entrepreneur, but it's like a true entrepreneur is someone that molds into all of those roles. Now, I also know, by the way, I can be the CEO of a company up until it hits about 10 million a year. I want nothing to do with it after that. And in a SaaS world, probably even less. I don't like management. I don't like all that stuff. I like building. But I can fake it. I can fake it till it gets to a point where it's, it needs a mature person to run it. But
we could spend an hour on that alone. I think so many people dive into that pain point that you're saying right now. Like, I've scaled to this point and I'm stuck at 10, 20 million, or even 5 million or 2 million or whatever. And maybe they have to understand, like, maybe that's some of their own weaknesses that they have to let go of. But finding that right person is a whole other story that can take that baton and run.
Ego. I absolutely celebrate and enjoy when I'm not needed. It is a joy for me. And I don't care if people say, actually, I really, the other day I'm hanging out with my best friend at a restaurant. It's like 11 o'clock and someone walks up. We come all the way around. They're like, are you Anik? They they want to take a picture. They shake my hand, and my friend's just looking like this. And he's not from this world at all. He's been my best friend since I was in third grade. And I'm like, I'm red in the face, man. I don't like it. I'm like weird. I get awkward. If you ever see me somewhere, I know I feel like an extrovert right now, guys. I'm an introvert. I'm screaming inside my head if you recognize me outside of a event or something like that. So I don't want the accolades. I don't need the attention. At this point, especially with 2 little kids at home, and I'm 40, maybe I'm having a midlife crisis, I just want to chill. I just want to go live life. But anyway, so we started to build the business. We started to finally scale the business, and me get out of it. We dialed it in, man. We really did. And we deserved it. We worked hard to dial that business model in, and we were ready to explode. So here's all the things. So this is when you guys if you want to pull out the violin and start playing, this is when you can play my sad song. April of 2022 is when my first child is born. She's my first daughter. I take 3+ weeks off paternity leave, and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to work. And the business is booming. My right hand is killing it. We have an acquisition offer on the table. We have completed due diligence. We are looking good. We are looking they wanted us to do a couple of things. They wanted us to make a couple of changes in the business, which I was happy to make. And then they would do the deal.
That's a ton of work to get there.
Oh yeah. We'd been working on that for months. So it was a big deal to be through that. We were, so May, which I was out most of, was going to be a record month for us. We were going to be the highest revenue, highest profitability without Anik even there, right? Home playing with the kid. So I make a decision a week before I come back to work that I am going to, and my birthday's coming up on June 14th. So I make a decision on June 14th. I'm going to announce that I'm stepping down as CEO, and that I'm making my right hand the CEO. something that you guys have seen happen in the past in ClickFunnels. It's a great moment, right? It's a celebrated moment. Like everyone enjoys it, including the team. It's just such a great moment. I remember when I saw Russell do it, I was jealous. Yeah. I was pure, flat out, just jealous. Especially because it was Dave, who I've known since almost as long as Russell, right? And I love Dave. So in my situation, I make this decision, and I'm not going to tell the person. So the person who's going to step in, I had told him that he would go on to be the CEO post the sale of the company. But I was like, all right, a week before, I'm going to tell him I'm announcing him as CEO and that we'll start transitioning role. And I'm going to take a year off. So he's going to shepherd the company through the sale. I'm going to take a year off, be dad, and then start the next thing, whatever that is. I want to start something different. So great. All plans are set. Share this with the wife. I'm excited. I'm pumped. And one of my dreams was to sell my company before I turned 40. I was 39. Sweet. Get back to work.
On track.
On Tuesday, Friday, which would be like May 20 something. It's the third week of May. This is exactly what happened, guys. My phone rings. It's my attorney. Now, I've had this attorney for 12 years, and he has trained me to not always expect bad things when he calls. So sometimes he calls, I'll pick up, and I'm like, oh God, what? And he's like, oh, just calling, checking how you are. He's specifically done this over years. So he trained me well. And I'm like, I cut the call. I was doing something else. He calls right back again. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, that's not good. And as that's happening, my office assistant is walking in with a FedEx package in her hand. And I knew it. I did not see anything. I just knew it, man. There was a freaking, call it a spiritual moment. There was a voice inside me that said, that's the FTC. And sure enough, it was. And in that moment that I got chills talking about it right now, because I get emotional, not because I have any regrets or anything, but just because people don't realize how much can be stripped from you in one moment. So in that moment, my ability to be a fully present father for the first year of my daughter's life, stripped. My ability to sell the company, stripped. My ability to grow the company, stripped. All my profits, gone. The potential of my brand and my name potentially could be gone. The loss of millions upon millions of dollars would follow. And
I think emotional damage here too. Like, Anik, this is what's the craziest part, is you're a good dude. You've helped thousands of other entrepreneurs, business owners accomplish amazing things. You're not out there trying to swindle people. And so you become, in your mind, in other people's minds and everything else, a victim because they want to make an example, And so I can't imagine how you were feeling at that moment.
Yeah, and what they want and don't want, it's so hard to know. And I don't assume why or what, where, how, right? But it's a little unfortunate because there were associates who I was loosely associated with, and I want to do this respectfully without bringing names in, from years prior. So was I on their radar? I could have been, but ironically, it was for something I had nothing to do with.
Right.
So here's me, and here's a person that I'm close to, and here's a person that person works with. I don't work with that person. I'm close to this person. This person works with that person, and I tell this person, stop it. But that person's their own person, and I can't control their lives. So this person leaves me and works with this person. But there's this connection, and that connection, that other person, those two people got taken down years before. And I know that my name has come up in other depositions because we're in the industry, right? Like, names come up because we're in the same industry or whatever. And people have told me, they're like, oh, it came up, and I said, oh, nothing. He has nothing to do with it. But I don't know if I was on the radar. I don't know if I was a target. I don't think there were complaints, a volume of complaints against me, because, man, people don't typically just go straight to the FTC. Like, they first complain to you, they complain to the BBB, or they write you nasty letters, or they do chargebacks. Man, my refund rate was below 5%. My chargeback rate was below 0.7%. And that's in a 3-year window with 63,000 transactions. Great and 26,000 unique customers. 26,000 unique customers. If I'm doing bad stuff, dude, you can't hide that. It's loud and obvious. So I just didn't think, because we were running a great customer support team, 3 support teams worldwide, 8 hour shifts, 36-minute response time, A rating on the BBB. Every year we were getting anywhere between 15 to 20 complaints on the BBB, but we had 20,000 transactions a year, and they were all resolved, 100% resolved. Responded to usually within 24 hours. And I will say the one part of the process I don't like, that I wish the FTC would consider changing, is I wish they would be a bit more forthcoming with what they have and why. Because when they investigate you,
bait you, right?
It's not even that they bait you. They don't bait you. I mean, it's not a bait. They literally come with a civil investigative document, a CID that says, give us everything. I've jokingly called it the colonoscopy of businesses. I mean, it's right up, right? But you're giving everything. I mean, downright to names, financials, a list of every asset, and just every transaction, every support request, every refund request, every chargeback, every lawsuit, which we never had any legal case. I mean, you're giving everything. We turned over 700,000 documents and calls and things. 700,000. Both my attorneys said it was by far the largest discovery they'd ever seen. And my only request was, in that, can you please tell me why? Why me? Why me? Like, can we have that conversation? No, we cannot. It just seems slightly unfair. That was the part where I'd say, can you at least, I'm not here. You're obviously I get this. I get where this is going. I understand that this is where I am, but like, I'd love to know why. It's like a closure type of thing, right? Like, it's like someone's breaking up with you. It's like, why? What'd I do? Like, at least tell me something. But anyways, it is what it is. So yeah, man, that led to, it was tough. It led to 18 months of people ask me, what was it like to be investigated by the FTC? And the analogy I can come up with is, imagine where hell goes when hell has been bad. That's where I was. You talked about emotional. I have PTSD, man. You want to see me freak out? Try to hand me a FedEx package or a certified letter. See what I do. Because it wasn't just that. During these 18 months, I had a multitude of things happen. I had property issues thanks to all the interest rates spiking. Some of our biggest tenants that are in properties that are worth a lot went bankrupt. So we had to get those notices through certified letters. Then the banks would notify us because I owed the banks money. Like, hey, what are you going to do? Then we had an issue with a property in Florida. Then we had an issue with the our own Learn Center landlord. It was, man, when it rains, it pours. I mean, you holy smokes, put a picture of me in the freaking encyclopedia next to that shit, because it has been bad. It's been tough. But you know what gets me through? And I'm gonna say this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. My friends, my customers, my colleagues are all right still by my side. As a matter of fact, Dave, and you'll have to excuse me if I get emotional talking about Dave, because I really miss him. He was a really good guy, and I used to catch up all the time. We had a lot of inside jokes. Dave messaged me. I remember, I'll never forget, texted me when he found out through someone else. What do you need? Got your back.
That's great.
Right? That's not what people do. When you get sued by the FTC. Yeah, but when you get sued by the FTC, most people, you got cooties. You're infectious. You're viral. All right? Yeah, people run. The distance. I didn't get any of that. I mean, you guys at ClickFunnels, you're still sponsoring our events.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Right? And we still had all this. So to me, that got me through. Knowing that, and I'll tell you, I'm going to tell a funny story, because this is a really spiritual moment. I needed this. So what happened is, about 12 months into the case, I am beaten to a pulp, man. Guys, I had no white hair going into this case. I am 50% white hair at this point. It is crazy. I was beaten to a pulp. I was mentally, physically exhausted. We had 2 kids. I mean, it was just, the list was just crazy, and my health was not great. At some point, you really start to wonder, am I a bad person? Are they right? Was I hurting people this whole time? Even though I'm meeting people all the time, like you just said, I just had someone from India the other day message me saying I completely changed their life. And they actually have a mastermind, 5 people in their little local city. It's a very small city in India that take my courses together. They have like watch parties of my courses. And they're like, you've changed all 5 of our lives. We have agencies. And it felt so good. And I was getting these throughout all the time, but still I felt, did I hurt people? Was I a bad guy? like, oh my God, Des, I've never wanted to be that way. How am I going to look my parents in the eyes? And what am I going to do? So I'm having all these moments. This happens, okay? So I get the ability to walk into the FTC office to do a presentation, which is kind of rare nowadays. They don't actually always allow that. They'll ask for Zoom or something. So I get my team together, I get my lawyers, we walk in. So I'm going to face the two attorneys who have been representing the FTC. By the way, I want everyone to understand one thing. The FTC is actually very cordial. They're very professional. They don't come banging on your door. They don't raid your offices. There's been cases where they've done that in the past. I don't know why they did it, but they don't seem to do that now. And they did it with me. They were we had extensions and obviously we disagreed on stuff, but it wasn't like a lot of people make it sound to be like an evil organization. The other thing I want to say is every penny of what I gave to them as a fine, they don't keep. It goes right back out to customers. And that's another thing. People think that the FTC is just a money grab. It isn't. None of what they fine you, they ever keep. So it's not about that. That's not. So your size of your company doesn't matter either. You could be making $500,000 a year and still get sued by them because they don't get to keep the money anyways. So anyway, so I get a chance to go present. So I walk through the first security. This is a big, beautiful government building. All the different agencies are there. So the first security is like going through TSA at the airport to go take all your stuff. Now you go specifically into the FTC building. There's a second security. So you buzz and they let you in. My team walks in first. They're there. I walk in, no joke, head of security at the front desk, sitting there. I just see him, and he's looking at me, and he goes, Anik? Is that you? And I'm like, damn, I really made my way around the FTC. Like, I'm really talking about my case everywhere, huh? What's going on? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, shit, I love you, dude. Oh, man, I've been following your stuff for years. I haven't bought your courses, but I take all your free stuff. Man, I love you. He goes, what are you doing here? And I'm looking at him, and I just kind of point at the logo above his head, and he looks up and he goes, "Oh man!"
Holy cow!
Yeah. That was for me. I felt like I needed that. It was such a spiritual moment for me because I felt like that was God letting me know in the building, in the place I walked in, saying, "You have impacted people, you have touched people's lives. Don't forget that, and that this is something else. This isn't what you're thinking it is." And I needed that. It made me go into that presentation with swagger, and I did a good job. I did a great job. So, yeah, dude, when you asked about the mental side of it, people come up to me and say, well, what'd you pay? I eventually we negotiated a $2.5 million fine, which I'm happy to talk about how that came. So the first thing people say is, oh my God, dude, you've made deca millions. Like, that's great. Good for you. And I'm like, I'll punch you in the face so fast.
You're like, I'm tore up.
Dude, who's going to talk about the 1.2 million I paid to the attorneys? Well, who's going to talk about the 1.5 million in costs of my team doing the discovery? Who's going to talk about the
Emotional
mental torture? Who's going to talk about the fact that I had to let go of 85 people? Who's going to talk about the fact that I lost a $40 million a year company? Who's going to talk about all the profit I lost this year, next year, the year after? What are you talking about? Are you insane? And then people will be like, oh my God, Anik, you made so much money and all you had was 2.5 million? No. That's not how it works, right? Yeah, so that's why we're writing the book. That's why I'm out there talking about this stuff, because people just don't know. And it's about damn time, because it's a real thing.
Yeah. Was there one specific thing? I mean, you say, hey, they don't tell you why you or anything else. And like, we can assume in this example, you and I had private conversations about this, but I'm wondering if you're willing to share specifically, like if there was that one thing that was the thing that tipped them over and like, all right, now we're going after Learn, right? What was it? Was it, email copy? Like, what was it?
So, no, I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you what was the one thing that they grabbed onto that they wouldn't let go of once they started the investigation. I don't know what led to the investigation, right? Except I can look at the demand letter and give you some ideas. But the demand letter is pretty copy paste, because there were things that they were asking for in the demand letter where I'm looking at my attorney. I'm like, why are they asking for this? I don't even do this thing. And it was like, well, it's probably just copy paste clause because they want to be thorough. But the things most quoted in my demand letter were my webinars and things I said in a webinar. So and those are public and viewable. Yeah. Here's a crazy thing though. One of the webinars they quoted the most, you ready? I ran it like at this point it would be 4+ years ago. Hadn't gotten a sale from it in years. Really? And I'm like, how did they find this thing? I'm like, have they been watching me for years? No. We did find out because of a question they asked. So the only knowledge you ever get from them is you got to tune into the questions they ask, and then you can like backtrack and see. So they asked a question about it.
This is where I think they bait you a little bit. Like, we'll ask, and then they'll see what else they can uncover, right?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. So that's 100. I mean, they're not really big. They tell you like we're going to ask you stuff so that we can find other. I know that's what you're going to do. It's an investigation, right? So, but we so we had a platform. So we would put the courses. So we had done this one program with somebody, and we had put it in the members area. And I don't know why the team took the webinar and put it up on the page. So it's like a Udemy. We had our platform was like Udemy, where there's like a course description page, and then so they made it so you could still buy it, even though the class was over years ago. And in place of the sales video, they put the webinar. So the way they found it was still live and accessible. So like, guys, if there's marketing out there that you're no longer using and you don't use, like get rid of it. Like it's just because you might be doing much more compliance stuff today, but you weren't 2 years ago. You're still liable for the stuff you said it's 3-year window. The statute is 3 years. So, I think it was just verbiage in the webinar. And I'll tell you right now, if you're going to mess up anywhere and say things that are non-compliant in the eyes of the regulators, the webinar is the first place you're going to do it, because you're talking nonstop for hours.
Yeah.
And you're excited and you're trying to sell. You're going to say something you're going to say, right? So, but in the end, we can get into all the intricacies of the laws if you guys want. But the way it worked out is I had done $64.8 million in sales in a 3-year window total in the business, right? And so typically the way they approach that is they just say your existence is deceptive. Your presence existence is deceptive. So everything you've done was deceptive. They don't use the word fraud because that's a very different terminology, and legally speaking, it's very difficult to prove and all that. So they say deceptive. So your redress, your fine, your what you have to give back is $64.8 million, so that we can make every single customer whole that ever bought anything from you in that 3-year window. And so that's kind of the starting point. And obviously, I think even they know that that's not going to be possible, but that's their start. Now, 2021, there's a Supreme Court case that stripped, so again, technicalities, but let's just say it made it so that they can't collect fines or money on one to many sales, web-driven sales.
Okay.
So what they did with my case is they picked on the telesales. So right now, if you're doing recurring, or if you're doing telesales, and I love this because marketers are like, I don't do telesales, I do my sales on Zoom. So, all right, one-to-one sales. It's like, right, guys, please, this is not how they work. Yeah. You cannot do these like technicality debates with them. They don't. It's not real world, okay? It's not Law and Order. It's real world. Like shit doesn't work like that there. So one-to-one sales. In any format or recurring rebilling. So this includes like SaaS companies and everything. Those are the two where they have the most legal precedence right now to do stuff. So in my case, thankfully, we don't do a lot of telesales. So of the 65 million, only 14 was telesales. So the second attorney, my partner on the book and my partner in everything that we're doing now, he called it the first day. I mean, the day I got my CID, I had spoken to him. That day he was like, oh, you don't have to worry about the 65 million. Your case is going to be about the amount of telesales. So it was 14 million. And that's what happened. By the time we got the complaint letter, they dropped everything else. They made it. And so what they said is every sales call you've ever done and every customer you sold through the phone was deceptive. So you owe us $14 million. So that's where we started the conversations. So now here's the irony. I had a full-time paralegal in my business all along before the FTC, reviewing every call, because I was always anxious about sales calls, not just from regulatory, but I'm scared of what they'll say to my customers. I want a good experience for my customers.
Of course.
So I was like, oh, dude, sales calls, squeaky clean. I'm good. And we have been, my script's been reviewed by my attorney, So I'm going to hire an independent audit. So I hired this attorney to do the independent audit. And he's like, all right, I'm going to listen to 100 calls. It's great. And if I can get him to give me a certified letter that says my calls are squeaky clean, I got something to really fight back with. Well, 5 calls in, he calls me. He's in his vacation home, and it's like late at night. And he's like, I don't know how to tell you this. I'm like, what? He's like, you got a problem with these calls. I'm like, no, there's no way. So I've invested so much money to make sure I don't. Probably close to like $500,000 in salaries and legal fees. And he's like, 4 words. I'm seeing them on a lot of calls, and this is all they need. What are you talking about? What is your goal?
This is wild to me that that's what they go after. This is wild to me. Something that, tell us why.
So here's why. They claim, and this is a disagreement between them and I, and it's fine. It's just a disagreement. They claim that every single call, the sales agent was trained to say, we can 100% help you do that. And they weren't. And that wasn't the case. But I do think it came up on a few. And that's all it takes is a few. So it becomes an implied earnings claim or an express earnings claim.
Feels so backwards, right? Because it's not. You're not claiming, we can help you do that.
Yeah, so there you go, right? So we can help you do that. Now, guys, here is what I'll tell you this is a non-sanctioned by the attorney statement. So this is just me, and I'm not an attorney. By the way, everyone who's listening to me right now, I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. I don't even play one on the internet. I just like to hang around with them. And sometimes when I put a suit on, I look like an attorney, but I'm not an attorney. So I came up with the analogy of, we take a glass, okay? And because some of the rules, of course, they're some rules you hear and you're like, oh, like, dude, really? Like, it's impossible. Like, they're not, it's not like there's Big Brother watching over you, and the minute you say any one thing wrong, and they're like, aha, gotcha, right? It's not like that. So I look at it as like this. There's a glass in front of you, and there's many things that contribute to getting investigated by the FTC, and all have varying amounts of impact. So every time you do one of those things, pour a little water into the glass. Sometimes you do things, and it's like a lot of water, right? But once that water flows over is, let's just say, when you're going to tip off the regulators to come look. And so people will be like, oh, I don't have to worry about this because I'm I'm just, I just make a few $100,000 a month. I mean, a few $100,000 a year. You guys are doing 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 million. So of course you're going to get sued. It's like, well, okay. So when you're doing 10, 20, 30 million a year, take the glass analogy, and it's a long pour. Okay. When you're doing less revenue, it's a shorter pour. But then you're doing less revenue and you're out there like a freaking blowhorn saying whatever you want. So there's like multiple jugs just pouring water.
Yeah.
So I'll be the same. You'll pour over. Now, if you're a smaller business, you can clean up what you're saying and, don't say that. Then guess what? The water will never overflow. And so I think what is your goal was the technicality upon which they needed to hang on to. Here is where it gets interesting. So because of the Supreme Court ruling on the webinars and stuff, it would have been a tough fight to penalize me anything in that arena. I'm not saying they couldn't have. They had a loophole, which we can get into, but there's a new way they do things, which could have led me to some fine. Certainly not $2.5 million. But they made the whole case about telesales, and I am told by my attorney, and I'm not able to substantiate this and not qualified to substantiate it, but I am told by my attorney that if those 4 words were not on my calls, I would have had a very different outcome of my case.
Wow.
And so basically my team was doing a overall pretty damn good job. Now, here's the thing. If you read my complaint letter, they're going to quote 4 or 5 sales agents, and the quotes they picked are not good. Like, I'm like, wow. But guys, we did 16,000 sales calls. Yeah. Right. And they're going to pick the worst one. So overall, we were doing great. So my case would have been different. So I summarized it down to this. I'm like, the attorney I was working with, and I've worked with him for a long time, I don't want nothing bad to say about him. He just didn't know this. And he admitted that. When he found out, he called me when he heard that from Greg, and he was like, what? I didn't know this. And that did not give me warms and fuzzies, by the way. I was like, dude, what? I spent a lot of money. You're supposed to know this. You're technically an FTC attorney. Biggest feedback I'll give you guys is if you're worried about the FTC, make sure your attorney really is an FTC attorney and not just one of the 7 things they do. So I'll tell you, I had to get surgery once because I have Crohn's disease. And I had multiple general surgeons tell me that they could do the surgery, and I was like, "Hell no! I'm going to a colon surgeon. I want to go to a surgeon who all they do all day is do surgery on the gastric system. They don't touch anything else." So here, you don't want to you don't want to get brain surgery from a general surgeon. You want a brain surgeon. So go to someone who just does the FTC stuff. That's what Greg does. And so he would have known this. He would have caught this years ago when we were getting our scripts reviewed. And am I saying that I would have been off the hook? No. Am I saying that I would have given, legally speaking, would have given the FTC a harder time? Yes. It would have been a much, much tougher case. And I still, guys, I'll still say this. I think that the way they came into my case, I think they thought there was a lot more there. It took them 18 months to investigate me. There are other individuals who got notified of an investigation around the same time as me, and their case was done and shut in 6 months. So makes sense, right? If they have what they need, boom, wham, bam, thank you, man. With me, it took longer. So it is what it is.
A question throughout this process, Anik, and this also, side note, this has been an absolute pleasure to listen to this whole story. I've learned a ton. Yeah.
By the way, guys, cut me off at any point because I ramble about this stuff because, it's my painful.
I want to keep going.
This is a lot of good content.
We got to keep going. At what point during this process did the light bulb click of, I'm going to make a business out of this?
Okay. So that's a great question. So we're 4 or 5 months. Okay. So there's a whole, I actually posted a video of the chronology of the whole thing, timeline of my psyche throughout this whole investigation. The first 2 months, I'm like, you got the wrong guy. I'm gonna be all right. But my business was destroyed nonetheless. I was gonna have to, I don't know how I was gonna rebuild it. Business was gone, but I was like, they're gonna drop the case. They don't drop cases, guys. It's come to learn that. I'm here to tell you that if you get a CID, I know the SEC just recently dropped a case against someone I know. They're not friends with them. Someone I know through someone. It was a real freakish thing. It's destroyed the company, destroyed the person, but then eventually dropped the case. But he's not gonna drop the case. Most likely they're gonna get you. So the first couple months I was like, dude, I was busy trying to do other stuff and change the company, pivot, blah blah blah. Team is doing discovery, and feeling very optimistic and hopeful. We start turning documents over, and the attorney starts picking apart some stuff. And I'm starting to hear what he's saying. I'm like, dude, really? And I guess that my first level was oh, so that's serious, And it's yeah, Anik, we told you about this. This is a real rule. I'm like, I mean, because see, what we're taught for the longest time, the school that we come from is that the only way the FTC or any state, by the way, we keep talking about the FTC, guys, there are 50 state attorneys general. Okay, any one of them can come after you. You do not have to be resided in their state, or as long as you're selling to people in that state. There are organizations that can come after you. There's the FCC, the SEC, the CFTC. I mean, there's a lot, right? So, I was always told that here's the thing: they're there to protect consumers. And they got a lot going on, and they're very busy, and there's a lot of bad players out there. So if you are not mistreating your customers and you're not getting a lot of refunds and chargebacks and complaints, and no one's knocking down the FTC's door about you, then they're not going to come bother you. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what I was told, and that's at least what I believed and how I received it. So I just sometimes may have gotten a little looser on areas. I'm just being very open and honest and accepting that now. But I was by no means the loosest of the industry. I was still way, way better. And I took solace in that.
Yeah.
I took me, I'm the good guy.
Not as bad as that guy.
I'm not as bad as that. It's like the joke they say, right? If you and another stranger are in the forest walking together and you encounter a lion, how fast do you have to run to make it? It's just fast. Just got out just faster than this guy. Right? So I was running way faster than I was running way faster than a lot of guys. So I'm like, I'm good. No, I'm not, to find out, right? So they've changed how they function a lot, though. New leadership, new initiatives. And so complaints aren't the only way. They are really very much about their procedures. And God, man, I don't know. Maybe I sold to the wrong person. Maybe I sold to someone who's the mom of an FTC attorney. I've jokingly sat with my attorney and talked about all the stories. I even had a joke at once where I was like, I should go through the FTC's entire employee log to see if one of my exes has made it there. Is there someone I upset?
Could have happened.
Pure joke, guys. If the FTC is listening, I'm not trying to I'm just being funny. Please don't sue me again. So yeah, I back to your original question. So the first 2 months, that hopefulness. Next couple of months is like acceptance. It's like, oh shit, I'm not good in their eyes. Like, I'm not good. Like, oh my God, they're gonna come for me. Like, this is real. And then about 4 or 5 months in, I start to learn things I truly didn't know. For example, what is your goal? What? Right? Okay, I learned this term. So I'm on a call one day, and I'm talking to Greg. And Greg goes, well, Anik, listen to this line right here. Okay. I'm like, all right. And he goes, what's the net impression you get? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, what's your net impression on this? I'm like, what the hell's a net? What are you talking about? He goes, oh my God, you've never heard of the term net impression? I'm like, I guess I know what it is, but what? Guys, that is a real term. It is an absolute staple. It is actually the governing body of the entire deceptive advertising statutes and everything. It comes out. This is why when a marketer comes to me and they're like, well, Anik, how can I say this so I don't get in trouble? And that's why the book and everything.
Could you say at the end of what's your goal instead of, hey, we can help you do that? Say, do you think we can help you do that? Like, no, that's what everybody starts thinking, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So people will be like, well, I asked what they wanted to achieve. It's like, ugh, dude, killing me, right? And the way they cover this is by layering in some policies, like you cannot misrepresent. You cannot. So, for example, evergreen webinar. Hey, everyone, welcome to this live webinar. Man, we are packed. We've got hundreds of people. You're misrepresenting. Thanks. In the first 20 seconds of your webinar, you are non-compliant now. Right? Wow. So they have some umbrellas that they've put in place to cover the marketing of the rules and or marketering of the rules. One of them is net impression. So there's the easiest way I can give a net impression example. All right. So Chris, let's say Chris, Ben, we walk into a room. All right. You shake the first person's hand and they say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I work at ClickFunnels. Shake the next person's hand. Hey, I'm so-and-so, I work at ClickFunnels. Shake the third person's hand. Hey, so-and-so, I work at ClickFunnels. Shake the fourth person's hand. I'm so-and-so, I work at ClickFunnels. Fifth person, sixth person, seventh person, eighth person, I work at ClickFunnels. I work at ClickFunnels. At this point, a person shows up and says, Anik, where do you think the ninth person works? If you guess it right, get $1,000. I'm like, ClickFunnels. The net impression that I received from the first 8 people is that everyone here works at ClickFunnels. So what is the net impression of your copy? So I never said that you can make $1,000 a day, but here's a testimonial of Jimmy who makes $1,000 a day. Here's Sarah who makes $1,000 a day. Here's Lucy who makes $1,000 a day. Who's Michael? Here's Marty. Here's Peter. Here's Robert. Come on, FTC. I never said anything.
Yeah.
That's their assumption. Your inception is creating a net impression. And the net impression is what you're responsible for. So I learned these things and I'm like, what the hell? I have spent over $1 million in attorney's fees trying to get, no one teaches this. And the other thing is, guys, I went to an event. I don't want to call anyone out because I love everybody that teaches or is in this space. I went to an event and I was supposed to talk about compliance. I didn't realize there was other people talking about compliance. I didn't realize it was like the thing, right? And it's like 2 other speakers, but they're like more legal corporate background. They're speaking on day 1. I'm supposed to speak on day 2. Problem is they covered all my stuff. So I had to redo my whole talk that night. But while they're talking, I'm like dying. I'm like, oh my God, this is so painful. I'm like, why? This is my shit. I love this. I spend nights now reading cases. All right. I'm a total geek about this stuff. It's become very passionate about it. Why can't I listen to them? That's the thing. I come in and I tell the story and I tell it in a different way.
They haven't been through it. They're talking about it. You've lived it.
And it's just, that's where the stage speaker, marketer side of me, the copywriter side of me knows how to tell stories, to get attention, and that creates retention. So that was where probably about 5 or 6 months into it, Ben, that I realized, holy shit, this might just be my mess that becomes my message. Because people don't know what they don't know. And I this will suck if my pain doesn't become someone else's gain. Then the other thing, Ben, that happened was my legal bills were getting insane. Not the ones that were like the legal bills for the case, but just at this point, when you're under investigation, even if you want to go to the bathroom to pee, you need to get it like checked by an attorney. And that was getting very expensive. So I'm paying 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a month just to have marketing checked so that I can market, because I got to market to get some money to pay these bills. And
like, I could be spending that on ads.
yeah. Well, so at that time, ChatGPT's taken off.
Yeah.
And everyone's all about AI, 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 AI. And I'm like, could I possibly have AI help with some of this so that I'm not spending so much money? So I go and code a, I work with a developer to code like a really simple prototype. Turns out at that time, the answer was like yes and no. Today, the answer is becoming much stronger. So at that time, I coded this and I started using it. And a couple buddies in the marketing space were like, wait, you did what? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, can I have it? Can I buy it from you? I'm like, wait, this is something people would want. And I started getting a lot of requests. And then I started thinking, well, hold on a second. I've already developed this far. What would I want? What would I, Anik, want in my company moving forward? What do I need? And I designed something, which we're still building, but the feedback to it, the response to it, the desire for it has been monumental. So I just started, Ben, this is like a big part of what I teach now too. It's just like, you guys need to start looking for momentum. Too many people are out there trying to force create offers and force create funnels. And that's why it's not converting, because your offer sucks, because it's forced. So figure out the thing that has natural momentum for you. Right now, I mean, I get on podcasts where the host is like, well, I was really wanted to talk to you about Facebook groups and scaling and ads. I'm like, okay, or webinars. I'm like, I'm happy to do it. I'm just letting you know the topic at hand right now.
That's not what I'm in. I'm in this right now.
Yeah. I'm happy to do it. But if the topic that people are loving right now is me telling this story and talking about compliance, they go, oh, really? Compliance? It sounds boring. I'm like, well, I said, hey, I'll do what you want. It's your show. I'm here for you and your audience. But I promise you, if you give it 5 minutes, the way I do it, the way I tell the story, the way you're going to be absolutely encapsulated. And it happens every time. Where at the end of the episode, they're like, dude, you got to come back. Oh my God, that was just like so eye-opening. So that's where I'm at right now. That's the market telling me like, hey, more. I'm speaking at 3 events this month, 3 events next month. My event schedule has gotten to the point where I'm saying no to people because people want me to come in and talk about this. The book is finally, the manuscript is finished today. The software is being developed. There's an academy in the back end. We're talking about a certification program. The lawyer and I came together and created a national association for advertising compliance. So like, it's kind of got momentum. And so
it does. And I know people are interested in it, but I'll tell you what it does for me a little bit. Everybody starts running the tape now, right? In the back of their head about what they've said on webinars or what they've done. And everybody's like, I mean, for me, it makes me go, oh man, I'm scared to go do a webinar. I'm scared to go do anything. And I come from a compliant background. Before I was doing this internet marketing stuff with Russell, I was 15 years and I was working with the NFA and the CFTC and like all the webinars we did, like we'd run through this stuff and our compliance, and they would water it down so much. So I guess my question is, how can somebody be excited, and are you excited about how to go do this internet marketing, quote unquote, the right way or the compliant way? Yeah. Do you have to water down your whole message?
Such a good question, man, because that's what I first thought. I was like, this like, might as well quit marketing because marketing is not allowed. And then I start talking to my attorney, Greg, and he's like, I've got many clients, multiple clients who are running super compliant, doing millions upon millions upon millions. I'm like, really? I'm like, all right. But so I started to dig into it. Right.
Whatever, right.
Yeah. And so I'm like, all right. So I start to dig deeper. I can tell you this without, like I can tell you, because now I've lived it. So I've helped multiple friends at this point. There's just friends that are doing 10 million plus a year. And through Greg and his counsel and me just being there, we've helped them turn their stuff compliant. And in each of them, the conversions have either remained the same or gone up. Or here, check this out. The conversions dropped a little bit, but the refund rate plummeted down. So it's net the same. And so we've actually seen that yet you can. I think one thing we got to remember, guys, is the market's changed. People and their brains have changed. The younger, the newer generations of buyers, they're different. They're interconnected. They're seeing this stuff all the time. They're becoming actually fairly repulsed by what we as direct marketers call effective marketing. I have found a few truths. One is that when you go all out and do the hypey marketing, you're actually attracting the wrong customers. Just think to yourself, when's the last time you, as a credible consumer, as probably the target customer for somebody, when's the last time you watched a webinar that was like that and bought from it? You probably didn't, right? And so I have found the statement that I make is very simple. Compliant marketing, first of all, does work. And I'm coming from the side of that didn't believe it did. My low ticket sales pages that I've run now, universal, like worldwide targeting, have converted better than what I'm used to, and they're compliant. And I use testimonials, even though testimonials are the most difficult, dodgy area for compliance. I have just turned over to using character and experience-based testimonials rather than results-based, and they work. They work great, and they're compliant, and there's no issue. But here's the other thing I'll tell you. So most marketers you cannot just change your webinar. You'll flop. If all you do is change the copy, you will flop. Your conversions will plummet. You have to change the model. So right now I'm building part of our academy for compliance. I'm building what I call the compliant marketing model, CMM. And what that is it's to change, you got to change the whole narrative and how you do it. In your guys' terminology, you almost got to change the funnel. All right. But even beyond that, one level above the funnel, you got to change it. So what do I mean? Okay. So when you want to scale to cold audiences, the only way you convert most of the time profitably is through hype. It is what it is. You hype someone up. And I don't mean that in the negative connotation, but you say things to get people excited.
Yeah, you typically get them to emotionally react and make a decision.
Yes.
Or even logically. You play on both of those. Yeah.
You play on both. Yeah. And typically that's where you teeter the line or cross the line of compliance. The only way you can replace hype to get the same level of conversions compliantly is with one word, and that is trust.
Oh,
so I don't need, if I want to, okay, I've bought many of products from ClickFunnels. I've bought products from Russell. I've never watched a video, read a sales page, attended a webinar. No.
You know it.
I don't need it. I trust the brand, right?
Yeah.
I bought things from Apple. I don't even know what they do.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I got them, but I trust the brand. I love the brand. So in the most rawness of you think about it, if you have the trust established, you don't need to do the hypey testimonials and the hypey claims and the false scarcity and the massive value stacking you don't need to do all of that because the other person's like, I'm not about that. What are you offering? I'll see if it's right for me and if I can afford it and I'll buy it. And this is where a lot of marketers will fall apart though, because they don't have the patience. Your model has to change. So you have to change the way you nurture the cold audiences. You got to slow down. You got to change the way you look at the data. If you want to build a business that can take in a completely cold audience and convert them to a 10K offer in 3 days, you can do it. There's plenty of people doing it. Not compliantly. It's very difficult. And I have news for you. You're building a business on sinking sand. It's going to eventually collapse, guaranteed. It will not be a lifelong business. It will not exit, and it will not provide you a lifelong of cash flow. It might go for 5 years. It might go for 10 years. You will have to constantly reinvent. You'll have to constantly find new offers. It's stressful. It's headache. It's horrible, and it's non-compliant, and you do it long enough, and you're going to get yourself sued. Versus change the model, invest a little bit of time and energy now to build systems to bring cold audiences into your ecosystem, whether it be through low tickets, whether it be through free things and freebies and communities, through events. Let them experience you, fall in love with you, and then you don't need all that hypey marketing. So you got to invest a bit more now, slow down now, but you end up building a business that is A, protected from the regulators, that is B, a long-term machine that will provide for you, or C, going to be sellable because the brand will become so effective and so valuable. So that is how you do compliant marketing. It isn't with the words you change. The words you change, that's why when we say don't say that, we mean don't say that. There's no words that allow you to say that. You got to cut it out. And yes, if you just replace your current marketing today with your current traffic sources and blah, 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 yeah, it's not going to work. It's going to collapse.
That's nuts. And even for those listening right now, this is just a quick plug. If you think anyone is going to know that they will benefit from hearing Anik's message, share this episode with one person who you know that could potentially completely alter the trajectory of their company and everything of that nature. But Chris, I feel like I cut you off. Are you going to say something?
No, that's
share the episode.
such a good thing to say, because I feel like a lot of times this is the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to address. It's scary. It's bad. And they all believe they can just outrun the other guy. But you've given some nuggets even in the past 5 minutes too, of just simple things you can do. You've got a new book coming out. Don't say that, right? We've alluded to it a little bit. Tell us a little more. Those are the type of things that you're teaching in that. And then where can people go find it and learn more about this and what you're currently doing?
Yeah. So we do. So the book will be out about mid-April. It's 7 drafts in. So please just buy the book, because God took forever to write it. It's just like such a painful process. At this point, I'm like telling my wife, I'm like, please just buy it to support us, because it was really painful to write. Yeah. The lawyer and I, we poured our hearts into it. It's a short book. It's going to be like 56,000 words, guys. It's not that big. You could read it. It's not written. Trust me, I made sure. I'm a copywriter. It's not written like a legal contract. Okay, Greg tried, and I cut it all out. Okay, yeah, so it's written in a fashion. I remember I called Greg. I'm like, what the hell is this word, dude? I had to Google this word to figure out, what are you doing? And he's like, well, how do you not know this word? It's I'm like, man, Greg, we don't live in this world, right? So
Net impact.
Yeah. So basically the book will be out mid-April. If you go to don'tsaythat.com, you can opt in to get it on the pre-alert list. We also launched a podcast. So we do a weekly episode. We get into specific topics. It's free, obviously. And so go listen to that. And then we have a bunch of other cool stuff coming out. Now, the book goes specifically over the rules and what not to say. But I laugh because as I've been out teaching this and talking about it, the next thing that people ask me, they're like, well, what can I say? Yeah. Like, what the hell? So I'm working
you got a sequel.
I need a week
now.
break. I got a sequel. So I got my next book, which I'm not going to work on for at least a couple weeks because I'm tired. But the next book is going to be called, it's named What You Can Say.
So, I love it.
Awesome.
And that book's going to be all about the marketing model that we alluded to and spoke a little bit about today.
Good. So good. Well, Anik, you are seriously a true gentleman. And I love that you just leaned into this. And I feel like you didn't necessarily, you made a choice. But I can tell and I can feel that you felt compelled to do this, because you got people who are on your left and on your right that you've come up in the trenches with, that have dealt with the same thing. And you want to say, hey, guys, it happened to me. It'd be easy for you just selfish, go, hey, good luck, guys. I know what to do. Good luck. But now you're spreading that word. So thank you, honestly, from the industry, because people don't do this. People are selfish. And so thank you. I mean, we're definitely going to have you back, especially when you have the don't say that, but say this. That's going to be super fun to jump into as well. But cool. Appreciate you, man. Any final words, Ben, or any final questions?
Yeah, one thing, and I've told you this privately, but even announcing it publicly, and you've heard a lot of this before throughout the years, but in personally my world into online marketing, the first webinar I ever watched was you. Like my senior year of college, I met the founder of JVZoo, and I got into the world of affiliate marketing, and shortly after, basically living in a hut in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, super late, middle of the night, like Friday, didn't go out, just wired with energy, learning all this new stuff. And you introduced me to just email marketing. You're selling SendLane on this webinar, blast from the past, but it truly changed my life. So for that, publicly, I do thank you. So from the jump, right? Dropping out of college, you stayed true to your calling.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. I gotta take you over to the FTC and be like, see, I help people.
That's right. Yeah. Leave me alone. And then you grab that other guy that you knew. See, this guy and Ben. What's the problem?
There's at least 2 people that helped Dan.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Appreciate
You're the best,
time.
Anik.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.